videos for marketing, explaining concepts, telling stories, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow. Wow. And it's all done by animation?
Yeah, I mean, if people want video, I can bring on a videographer, but myself, my own business just does animation.
Okay, right. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun and effective.
I bet.
So.
Welcome, Michael. Welcome.
Hi, Maile.
How's everybody?
Good. Good.
Awesome.
There we go.
Ah, we can hear you now.
And I can hear you.
Woo, great. Awesome. Thanks everybody for being on the call.
Of course.
So welcome to the Asentiv Mastermind Community Contra Costa Zoom support call. So what this call is designed to do is to continue on what we're doing in Asentiv and keeping on track with our goals and our intentions. And welcome, Sheila. And helping keep us on track, keep us accountable, and to gain more insight and support from one another by being on this call. And today I invited a special guest, Vic Vaughan. And one of the things that's interesting about Vic is he and I share some similarities because we both were clients of Asentiv before we became owners. So we both went through the program, and I'm sure Vic can share a little bit of his story with you as well. But we kind of been on the same track. I think we both became involved in an ownership level. Well, I did in January of 2012, and I think, Vic, you were right around the same time.
Yep.
Vic has really done a great job to build out his team in England, and is now actually helping out headquarters and has a fancy dancy title with them.
Fancy.
Fancy dancy. So he is stepping up to another level of leadership as well. So everyone, welcome Vic.
Vic.
Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Maile.
Yeah. Welcome, Doug. I see Doug's on the call now too. Fantastic. So just to get things started, I want to ask, as I like to do, for any victories that anyone wants to share, any successes. Don't everyone go at once.
Well, I'm literally getting ready to go to record a seminar in the city, so that's exciting.
Oh, fantastic. Congrats, Clifton. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, the last 2 events I did last week have netted me just about 20 emails and contacts from people who are saying, yeah, get in touch with me. I want to talk to you about working with you.
Cool.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Is that your business, Michael, or Asentiv?
My own business.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So Vic, all these people are clients. So most
sorry.
of them,
Okay. Sure.
I would say everybody is or has been in Certified Networker, and everybody is currently participating in the mastermind.
Okay. Sure. Yep.
Okay.
And I'm getting ready for Wednesday's event.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Right on.
Fantastic. Okay. Any other successes?
Nothing I haven't mentioned since Thursday. So it's
yeah, most of us saw each other on Thursday,
Yeah.
Vic. So.
Okay.
I know we're pretty awesome, but yeah, not sure what we accomplished on the weekend. Okay, well, I'd like to dive in and use Vic since he's on the call, and kind of ask some questions, and for everyone on the call, think about what you would like to know from a different Asentiv perspective from the UK. And of course, like I said, everything's going to sound really awesome and simply brilliant because it's going to be the British accent. So Vic, do you want to talk a little bit, just to start off with, about your Asentiv journey, maybe? About
Sure.
how,
Yeah, I'd love to.
going
Yeah, I'd
from
love to.
client to owner?
Yeah, sure. So, as Maile quite rightly said, that my journey really started around about 9 years ago now, when I was referred in to Asentiv as a client. I worked with Asentiv for around about 18 months and implemented, like, as you would know, as certified networker, implemented that into my business. And for me at that stage, it was a real eye opener, because it just showed me a different way to take my business and myself to market. So that was the real big learning curve for me. Previous to that, I was very much around figures, profits, next client. Don't worry about relationships. That doesn't really matter. That comes second. And it really just showed me, how I could really change the way that I thought about my business and thought about myself to a big, to a large scale on that. So what I then decided to do, cut a long story short, really, I then decided that I would step in to Asentiv in the UK. So I looked at bringing Asentiv material to where I live in the southwest of England, to my community and my business community. I did that for around about a year, and then started working in our HQ over here in the UK, which is about 100 miles north of me, because there was a huge demand at that time for help. Started working there, worked with the owner, a lady called Sarah Owen. She was the owner of the UK. Started working with her, and I then saw other opportunities that I thought were being missed with Asentiv in the UK. So I spoke to her about the opportunities of being a partner in it, which I did. I made that happen, became a partner in Asentiv with her. And it's coming up for about 3 years ago now that I actually bought her out completely. And I'm more than happy to share why that was, but I had to make the move of buying her out completely, and then took on the role of, as Maile said, really, of the UK. So my responsibility, really, I've got two hats that I wear. One is the responsibility of the UK, and secondly is my fancy, what is it, Maile? My
Fancy
title?
Fancy title.
Fancy Dancy. So my Fancy Dancy title that I now have with Asentiv Global is Chief Development Officer. And if I can share that with you, really, is the reason they've asked me to come on board with them and work with them is because I have been doing a lot of work here in the UK. We've had some great success here in the UK, even with the franchising, the licensees, which is the people that actually take our product and services to market, and as well with the franchising. So we've just got to look at replicating that throughout the world. So that's really sort of been my journey so far. That's over the last 8 years, and from where I am now, really, is that I feel that I'm in a pretty good place to be able to share those best practices, share what worked for me in my journey, especially in Asentiv, what's worked with me for my other business as well, which is still going today, by the way. So my other business, I didn't stop. I just put people in there to manage it. So that's still happening today. I have nothing to do with that at all, virtually. 98% of my time and focus has been on Asentiv, and it has been for the last virtually 7 years now. Is that okay, Maile?
That's great. So what would you say overall was maybe your biggest learning or takeaway just from Asentiv as a whole experience so far?
As I said before, really, what I didn't have before, I'm actually quite an introvert, really. So I am quite shy, you know, inwardly, and I didn't really connect or have any network. I didn't really belong to any other groups. I was a member of BNI for a while, and it worked very well for me. But again, something not quite, you know, sort of right for me. I don't know really what it is. I think, you know, BNI is a wonderful thing for those. I don't know if any of you are involved in it, but I didn't have anything. No, no. Are you all BNI?
Yes.
Right. I've got to. You could have warned me, Miley. I could have said something bad there.
Doug is not in BNI, but everybody else is in BNI.
Okay, so BNI did work for me up to a level. And then I started looking for something else. So my biggest learning from Asentiv really was it gave me the confidence and the skill set to be able to take myself, not merely my business, but myself to market where I couldn't before. You know, I would not really have, well, I don't know whether I'd have the motivation to do it before, but I never even really considered it. You know, networking was something that people went out and had coffee with and you know, coffee and biscuits and just had a chat. I didn't have time to do that in my mind because I was focused only on one thing, and that was just clients, money, profit. Yeah, so that was the big thing for me, Miley.
Okay, so no coffee meetings for you, huh?
Well, no, I do now. I do now, but I didn't before. So I had no reason to go and have a coffee with anybody because I would never speak to them. So yeah,
Do you
it's quite
have
odd.
coffee meetings or do you have tea meetings?
Well, we have coffee mornings and we have afternoon tea.
Oh.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Any questions thus far for Vic from anyone on the call? All right.
Yes, I do, because he said he had your best practices that you wanted to share. So I would like to really hone in specifically on what those practices are. Now I know it's morning coffee and afternoon tea. So that's a start.
So I know that one of the things that Miley said to me was, what's one of the, I can't remember the complete terminology of it, but it was something to do with what's helped me going forward in, you know, with my Asentiv business and with my other business. And I shared with her, it was actually round the mastermind that I belong to. So that's really sort of where we had this conversation. And the interesting part of it is that I've not really shared that before. Miley sort of said to me, so that's what gave you the change and what give you, you know, the ability to be able to do things that I wouldn't have done before. So I've been a member of a mastermind group now on and off really for the last 7 years. The one that I'm in now, which I have been for many years, I had to try and find the right one for me. And I knew when I said before, you know, the networking. So the networking for me wasn't working quick enough and fast enough, because you know when you've got to build that relationship, and I get it now, and I do mind, you know, I've got a referral marketing plan of my own. You know, it's current. I use it, but things just weren't quick enough for me, and I was getting frustrated with it. So that's when I started looking for a mastermind for myself. And what I've now understand is from that mastermind group gave me the speed of implementation for my business in Asentiv. There is no doubt about it that I would not be able to do or even consider doing what I've done if I wasn't part of that mastermind. That is definite. And the reason for that is because, well, there's a couple of reasons really. One, this mastermind that I belong to, I make sure I get the best from it, and I am focused why I'm in there and why I'm, I travel around about, it's about 150 miles to my mastermind group, 150 miles there, 150 miles back. So it's not on my doorstep. And I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be there, for sort of 8 o'clock, 8:30, once a month. But that's once a month face-to-face meeting. But it's worthwhile for me because it's in my calendar. I know it's part of my marketing strategy and support strategy for me. And what I've done is over the years, I know now how to fully get the best from that time when I'm doing my mastermind sessions. I really do now. And the information that I've gained, the support that I've gained, the support network that is around me, sharing, sharing best practice, the skill set of others, finding out what their skill set is, what they've been, where have they got their success from? What are they successful at? And I'm sure that all in the mastermind, you're all in business, and we all have the same struggles, and we all have the same challenges. It just different sectors in the business. So that's really sort of, in a nutshell, really what gave me. But it was when I sat down and strategized how I am going to use and utilize the mastermind concept for me. And it was very, and this is another thing, and Maile knows I'm pretty open. I'm an open book, as they say, so I've got no hidden stuff, and if I need to say it, I'll say it. But it was purposely for me. It was about nobody else. It really was about me and what I wanted from it, how I wanted to be able to be a part of that group and what part I would play in it. And yeah, so that was really strategizing. And so the thing that I would say is I've still got people in that mastermind group that turn up every month, haven't done any preparation, haven't done any thought process of, why they're there, what they want to get from the day. And they're the people that leave with not as much as I do. They'll always leave with something, but certainly don't hit their agenda because they haven't got one.
So tell us a little bit more about that, Vic. Tell us about how do you really use it for you? How do you prepare? What's your mindset? How do you strategize, like what your ask is, things like that?
Sure. So how it works for me is it's as though I'm just generally working through the month. So we meet on a monthly basis. When I'm working during that month, something will hit me where I think I need help in, and it could be something very small. It could be something about putting a contract together. It could be about, marketing. It could be absolutely anything, employing somebody, or I don't know, anything that comes up there. And I then, around about halfway through the month, I'll select something that I know then that I'm going to take and prepare to get answers that I come away with and help. And that's what it's very simple. There really isn't anything other. And I go to that meeting with a strategy of coming out with what I want. Now, I'm a giver as well. I'll help anybody as much as I possibly can, but I certainly want that. I want to leave that room with the answers that I need for that day that I'm in that mastermind group. I know, do you know that it's, I know this, I do see people in that meeting that actually could get so much more out of it if they just strategize. And I find it difficult to understand why somebody would take, and this is this is a full day, this mastermind group that I belong to. And, you know, to take a whole day out of your business, and some of them travel quite a distance as well to be there. It's a private mastermind group. But why would you spend the whole day there with not having something to come out from that day? I don't understand it, really, to be honest. They can obviously spend the time in there, but them being in the room as well. And another thing as well, I would say 60% of those people, there's only about 12 of us, so it's not a large group. And for me, the smaller the better, because selfishly, again, I get more time to be able to have a bit of my time in that meeting. You know, so if there's lots of people in the room, I don't get so much time, which I know is fair. So if there's not so many people, I get more time. And I would say 60% of those people in that room are far, far more successful than I am in business. I would argue the fact maybe in life, I don't know, because I'm pretty, you know, settled in my life in general. But I still am working hard to achieve things that I want to achieve in my business.
Awesome. So I have a few more questions, but I also want to allow everyone else, if you have questions, this is for your benefit. So I do have questions, and if you have questions, I want you to get your questions asked and answered. So chime in if you have questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
So
Ronnie.
the group that you're masterminding with,
Mhm.
I am assuming, you correct me, are in very different lines of business. And you said 60% of them are much more successful than you are. So when you're talking about seeking out the right mastermind group, which you felt was very important to do, what are the qualities of that mastermind group that makes them the best for you? Is it the particular people? Is it the positions that they're in, their experience, the fact that 60% of them are more successful than you? What really makes the difference in having the right mastermind group?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question, Ronnie. And do you know that I can answer that reasonably straightforward? And Miley might like this or not, because I think she knows what I'm going to say. It's all around the coordinator who runs it. It really is. And the reason I say that is because, and it's a lady that runs this group, you know, she runs it, you know, like she runs it with a rod of iron sort of thing. Do you know that you wouldn't sort of want to step out of line, but she runs it very, very, very efficiently. And what she allows us to do is to get the best from that mastermind. And that's where I think, you know, where I look back on the other masterminds that I've belonged to, I think that's where sometimes my frustration has been, is because when I'm in that mindset and in that frame of mind, I'm there for my business, for me, and I want to get things done. You know, I don't want all the other stuff that goes on sometimes around you. And that's the important thing to me. So it was about the coordinator. It was about the person that is running it, how they run it, you know, running it. And I'm very system and process based. So I like systems. I like knowing what's coming next. I like the fact that, you know, she'll remind us about the meeting and have we prepared? What are the subjects that are, you know, that we're bringing forward? It's all that, you know, the stuff that actually makes a big difference even to the day. And the other thing to that is, it is about the people in the group, very much so. And the thing is, what she's done is she has selected 90% of those people that are in that group. She has selected personally to be in that group because she knows that they can bring something to it. And that's, you know, that's where I'm talking about. So I'm not saying that the business owners in there, I wasn't looking for a group of business owners that were far, far more successful than me. I was looking for business owners that were willing to share and be open-minded and like-minded. So that was the priority to me, and they are. It just happens that 60% of them are a lot more successful in business than I am, or I have been, which helps, of course, because they've been through a lot of the things that I'm going through now. There's people in that mastermind as well that are just on the beginning of their journey for their business. And it's okay, because what she's done is selected them to come in because they will bring something else, another skill set, not necessarily within business. It could be outside of business.
Awesome. I do believe that we all bring something to the table, and I know that I've had more experienced people excited to have newer business owners in the group because of their because there is something to be said about having that new viewpoint. There's a lot of inspiration there. There's that really open mind typically, and the excitement and that energy. And so there's benefits for lots of different stages being a part of it. So I think Michael has a question. Is that right? And
Yeah,
then I
Vic,
think Doug has a question too. We'll call on you next, Doug, okay?
Hey,
Hi,
Vic.
Michael.
Hey, I wanted to, for a moment, touch back on your strategy for your mastermind group.
Uh-huh.
Can you give us an example of what that looks like? Because a lot of times, a lot of masterminds I've noticed, the strategy looks like this. Oh, hey, there's this thing in my business I'm a little unclear on. I'll just ask people about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's the whole strategy. I'm wondering if you're doing something different.
Yes.
Good.
So I tell you something as well that is interesting, because there are people still doing that, Michael. I'm not going to say there aren't people turning up and actually doing that. But for me, it is about the preparation of what I'm taking to that meeting. When they say, go prepared, and, preparation and planning. And for me, I know that the more preparation I put in to whatever challenge that I'm bringing to that group, I will get a better response, because I'm actually ready to ask the right questions. So I've thought about it. Am I asking the right questions? Is one of them. How can I explain this so everybody understands? Am I telling them the true story? Is this true, really? Some people will just tell you the good bits. Am I going to be open? Am I going to be honest? And I do, and that's so that's one of the things that I do, is I write the list down with the problem, and then all the challenges that I've got, and how can I explain that in, say, 5 or 10 minutes to an audience that can give me some direct good feedback on whatever I'm asking.
Interesting. Right.
It's the preparation and planning, Michael, I would say. And the reason I do that is because this is all part of my strategy for growth. And I've shared this with Maile, is that, I am the type of person within me that I need that. I need that growth. I need results. I'm very result driven.
Mm-hmm.
And what's next? How can we do this? What we've done this bit. How can we do this bit? What about scalability? So what all the problems that come with scalability? That type of thing. I know that it would either have cost me a fortune, Michael, to get the information and the answers that I needed, which would have been one way of doing it, because you can buy it. There's no doubt about it. Most of it you can buy. But would I have got such a... I don't think I would have got the response that I would have needed on a personal basis, because like if you're all in one group, you're going to get to know each other. You might know some strengths and weaknesses of those people around the table, and you might how to share practices. So, and I'll tell you the other thing that it's really given me is that I would sometimes go there with a challenge that I thought was a challenge, but actually it wasn't. It was something else. So that was, you know, after having brought it there and all this preparation, I'm saying, right, this is what I want to bring to the table today. This is what I need help with. Let me just talk you through this. This is what I see as my challenges. They go, well, actually, what about if you did this? And I go, oh, yeah. Okay, I'll scrub all that out and I'll do that. You know, and it really was. It was the support, I think, is the main thing for me. Yeah, hope that answers it.
It helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Doug, do you still have a question? Do you want to unmute yourself and ask?
I do, if you don't mind me asking.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Vic. Thank you for offering to share your wisdom with us, Contra Costa Asentiv folks. Just briefly, Vic, what I do for is fairly difficult to describe, and it's very obscure. So I often find it difficult to describe in a casual setting what I do, so that so that I can seek advice from other people in the mastermind group in particular, but in Asentiv in general. So I'm constantly filtering Asentiv information in terms of whether applicable to me or not, and I always feel like I'm the outsider in the room.
Okay.
I guess, do you have any suggestions for you know, how I can best utilize the mastermind experience in particular? You know, given that what I do and the way that I operate my business is more difficult to describe and more obscure than sort of the ideal Asentiv model, where you build relationships and there's a mutuality about the growing business with those partners.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Doug. Do you know what comes straight to mind is what somebody said to me years and years ago. It's got nothing to do with your business. It's all about you. And that just come to mind there, Doug. It's and that's, I don't know if you was right at the beginning. I shared what Asentiv did for me was showed me how to take myself to market. More than my company, really, although it showed me both. But it was really a case of me opening up and being honest with myself about what opportunities I was missing, because I was always talking about the business. I was always talking about the successes that I have in the business, how many people I could employ, you know, how much money we make, what the profit margins were. All that stuff was just going on and on and on. And then I realized, actually, it's not about the business at all. It's all about me, because I'm running that business and that business is me. So whatever is the challenges and the obstacles that I believe are in the business, they're actually not, they're me. You know, it's all about my obstacles. It's all about my challenges. And that was something that was said to me, Doug, you know, a long time ago, is just forget about your business. Forget about what you do and how you do it. It's all about you. And that's one of the things that I've always now take to market. And I know it's our Asentiv stuff, but I'm not talking about because it's Asentiv. I'm talking about because it makes a huge difference to me in everything I do, including the masterminds. So I don't go there. So I'll try and give you an example. So if I've got a challenge around something in Asentiv business that isn't working, I put it on the table now. I put it on the table. It's about me. You know, it's my challenge. I want help. not my business. My business, my business does need that help, but actually it's about me. So how can you help me? How can you help me actually understand or be able to take a different approach, to what I do and how I do it? How can you, help me understand maybe a different way of doing things? And I get what you're saying though, Doug. I'm not sure what you do, but I do know there's a lot of people out there that find it difficult to be able to say what they do and how they do it. And do you know that, I'm sure Maile is going to know what I'm going to say now, but Asentiv have exactly the same problem. We do. Because if you try and figure out exactly what we do and how we do it, it is very difficult to be able to explain to people, because it's not a standard thing that we do. We're not business coaching consultants. We don't, we're not particularly marketeers. We're not taking a single product to market. It's not a very easily understood service that we give. So we've got the same challenge, and I'm sure Maile would agree on that, because this is something that we've been working on for years. We know how to do what we do very well, and that's our skill set. So if I was to say anything, Doug, I would say just try and have a different mindset of coming to the mastermind for you and not your business. That's how I would look at it. And it was wise words that were given to me many years ago.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a question. What kind of agenda does your mastermind have? Do you just go from member to member with whatever issue they're bringing to the table? Is that pretty much it, or is there anything else in addition to that?
Yeah, so Ronnie, our runs for a full day. So it's we meet at around about 8 o'clock, start about 8:30 in the morning, runs till 4 o'clock in the afternoon with a working lunch, and it's a full day's program. So it's virtually similar to what you're running now, I would imagine, with Maile. But the first phase of the meeting is our wins and what have we done since our commitments from beforehand. And we discuss that, but we discuss that at length, and what are the challenges that we've had, if any, with not being able to do that. And as I said before as well, so the coordinator will always send out an email reminder the week before to remind us of the dates. And on that email, there is a request for your subject that you'd like to bring to the table. And I'd say the reason for that is as well, Ronnie, it gives her an opportunity to be able to think about that as well, on how she facilitates it. So she's the facilitator. She's not really going to come up with more than likely any of the suggestions or answers, but how she can best present that to the group. And that's another reason why I said that I always take the time to prepare it, because I know that it's going to be in that meeting. The ones that don't bother sending the email back or don't bother, putting in their request, they come last. So they come at the end of the meeting. I know that I'm going to go before. So, and the agenda then, Ronnie, just to finish that really is the majority of the day is taken up through the mastermind process of our, of what we brought to the table. What we want to do. So there isn't a set agenda for this mastermind. So I've been to other masterminds which works just as well with set agendas, but this one doesn't. And then at the end of the day, we will then be discussing in length about our commitment to whatever we're going to be doing that month as well. So as we would say, the non-negotiable commitment that we're going to be making to it.
Okay.
And there is something else just to add to there as well that I've just thought of, is that with our mastermind as well, it's not just about the one-day meeting. You know, that there is one call during the month that we receive from the facilitator just to see how we're getting on. And as well, during that meeting, she will make sure that the person, you know, there's always somebody there that's either been through it, gone through it, has the answers, can help you more than others. She then makes sure you both connect during that month for support and help.
Okay. So there's a group call, kind of like what we're doing right here, halfway between each meeting.
There's a group call and there's one individual call.
Okay.
Awesome.
But there's only 12 of us in there, Ronnie. So and you know, again, honestly, not everybody turns up all the time. So which I don't mind, because that means I get more time.
I heard you state earlier, Vic, you know, talking about the people that you want to be in the mastermind. And it was more about their willingness to share, like-minded and open, versus in a certain industry or business or whatnot. So we've got 3 masterminds going right now. And one of them has about 8 people, but the other 2 have like 3 people. So we are looking to add, you know, some select people to the groups. So any advice from you on how to procure those people, how to maybe vet them a little bit before they come, or prepare them, or how do we best find the right additions to the group, and share with them about what we're doing?
So yeah, so this is how it's positioned in my mastermind that I'm part of now with the coordinator. She actually positions it that there's only going to be, so just for her, this doesn't have to be the way that it is, but for her, there's only 12 members. Okay, it's a private mastermind group, and there's 12 members, and we can put forward prospects for the mastermind. So we actually do that for, she doesn't get the next clients, we do. And the reason I say that is because that's part of the vetting process, because we know other people like ourselves, and we know, really, honestly, we know the right people to bring into that group, and that's put upon us. Although there is a process for it, that we put them forward, they're still vetted by her. You know, they'll still have an interview, they'll have a face-to-face interview, they'll still come to one of the meetings as a guest. They don't stay for the whole meeting, they just stay for the beginning of the meeting, so they don't do the mastermind, they just do the beginning of the meeting. But yeah, so we've always got people leaving, you know, for reasons of their own. You know, either it just doesn't fit for them, they can't do they've missed too many meetings, they move away, change business, whatever, you know, life brings on. So we've always got a pool of people that are there. But I would say, Maile, is that for me, it's up to me to make sure that I've got the right person in that room. And if I can bring the right person into that room, why wouldn't I? I don't want, so this is my, you know, this is again my selfish bit of me, is I don't want you to bring somebody else in the room that I might not like, or I might not get on with, or, you know, doesn't really fit with me. So I'm going to play it safe. And when we have a place there, I'm going to have somebody that fits it, and I'm going to bring them in, because I want the person in there to be able to, you know, not change the, you know, the atmosphere in the room, or change the relationships that we have, and the way that it works. So, I would say half of us in that, about 50% of us in that meeting, we have prospects that we have spoken to, that when there is an opening, we can put them forward. But the final selection is down to the coordinator. Yeah. So that's, you know, that's another thing, Maile, as well, is that I think these masterminds, because it is about the mindset around the mastermind. You know, what is the mindset around your attendance with the mastermind, and what do you want from it? And if you really are in it, I want to make sure there's good people around that room. So if I can bring good people to that room and have good people there, I will bring them, because I'm more comfortable with that. I don't want other people to bring them. I want to know who I'm bringing, so I know who's going to be in the room. Yeah, but there is a vetting. There's a certain form that you have to fill out, Maile, and certain vetting that goes through to it. The other thing is, this is a general. So this is a general mastermind group. I have belonged to other groups, I don't now, that have been very specialised, and you know, specialised in. Well, let me think. So I did belong to one that was around marketing. So, you know, because we're sort of in the marketing industry, I belonged to the marketing group that was only marketeers only. So you had to be in the marketing industry to be able to do it. But do you know what I found is that a lot of people were having the same issues, and there wasn't anybody from outside the industry or outside of our sphere that could come in, you know, with a completely different approach. But there are certain masterminds out there that are strategized around, you know, a common theme, you know, a greener world or something like that. All the businesses that are in, you know, the green side of things that, you know, are doing something about that. I think that's a great thing. So that is just just one of the things, as you know, Maile, you know, here in the UK, one of the ladies here is starting a mastermind group like yourselves, but you have to have some proof that your business is committed to a greener world, you know, a better world. And what are you doing about it? You have to prove that. And that's going to be so powerful. In fact, I know it will be. And it's all in one town as well. So you can imagine that, you know, the outcome of that is going to be great.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you said at the beginning, Vic, was one of the benefits that you received was speed of implementation.
Uh-huh.
Can you speak to that for a little bit? Like, tell us a little bit more about how you got results and why you felt like it gave you speed of implementation, especially if we only meet once a month.
Sure. So I knew there was going to be a lot of kickbacks for me in my business. I you know, as we all, you know, we've all got, you know, those things that we just don't know that's going to arrive. And, you know, when they do arrive, it sometimes knocks us back a few steps. You know, it might be as simple as a bill coming in that we wasn't expecting, but it could be something like, I'll give you a big example now, is, you know, what the issue with the virus now, you know, around the world. You know, that is going to hit a lot of businesses hard at the moment. And I've been having conversations with people out in Italy, and it's huge, it's massive. So when things just like that you would never, and I'm not saying that one particularly, but something like that happens, where do I get the support and help? And I know that I can get through that is from this mastermind group, because I am so that's where it goes back to me, not my business. So my business might struggle because of it, but it's about me to do something about it. So I would then go and to the mastermind and say, this is how I'm feeling. You know, but if I was running an events company now that mainly run events in Italy from all around the world, wow, just think about them, how they would feel now. It stopped, gone. You know, you don't know how long for, because nobody can travel in and out of that certain part of Italy. You know, so I think it's that. The speed of implementation, Maile, was really around just having that challenge and getting answers quickly, efficiently. And the other thing is being held accountable. Definitely being held accountable, because I'm, you know, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm quite fast in what I do. I'm quite, you know, something else comes up, I'm on it. And, you know, if that's not really the priority, that's the priority as I see it, but it might not be. So I need those people around me to say, hey, hold on, Vic, that's not your priority. That's what you should be doing. Why are you not focusing on this? Why haven't you done it? You know, I need that person there. I need the accountability person that would say to me, and she's good at that as well. I'll just tell you that, you know, I said that you wouldn't want to cross her. Let's say that, okay? Because you wouldn't, you know, she scares me a little bit sometimes. And, but I like that, you know, because she challenges you. She'll challenge you. She'll do it in the right way. She's awesome. And, you know, if you come up with a silly answer, or she'll still challenge you on it and get that true answer that what should have been said in the first place. And it was the so for me, the speed of implementation was through the accountability of what I'd said I'd do and what others advised me to do, but it was down to me to do it and her to hold me accountable for doing it. That's the speed of implementation. And that allowed me then to be able to take, you know, Maile, the franchise on to co-ownership. And so there's another example for you in business. So I'm thinking of buying the partner out that owns the UK. So I go to the mastermind group with that. I went there with it and said, this is what I'm considering. What do you think? Do you think this is worthwhile? Do you think that's right? Do you think it's worth, you know, this is how much she's asking for it. You know, how much should I pay? How much shouldn't I pay? What should I ask for? What shouldn't I ask for? What's all the other stuff that I've got to do? You know, I've always started my business from scratch. So I actually had no experience about buying a business or buying into a business. That's the strength of it. That's the speed of implementation straight away. I remember doing it, going to the mastermind with my preparation, explaining the scenario. They come up with the solutions and helped me all the way through. And that took 4 months, maybe, from start to finish, 4 months done. I'm 100% sure that I would have not been able to do that if I wasn't part of that mastermind and got the advice and the accountability side of things to implement it quickly.
I feel that probably gave you a lot of confidence with how you move forward on it too, right? Because you had more certainty from talking it out, getting the advice, coming up with the next steps, with support versus, I hope I'm doing the right thing.
Well, that's the thing, Maile, isn't it? So I was in a frame of mind that actually I don't know really what to do. You know, what are the questions that I should be asking? What information do I need? You know, I know that I've got to do my due diligence, but what does that mean? You know, all that stuff that just goes on that I couldn't really know myself. Bang, there's the answers. And if they didn't know, they get somebody else that would know, that might be willing to help me.
That's fantastic.
And you never know when it's going to happen, do you? You never know when these things are going to happen. I had, you know, if you ask me now, 8 years ago when I bought the franchise for Asentiv, for the little bit that I live in the UK, that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, never in a million years. No, because it just wasn't on my radar. It wasn't part of my vision. So all those things, and so that's what I'm saying is now, this is really the foundation, as I see it, the foundation for not only what's happening today, but what's going to happen for you personally in your business in the future, and have it in place ready to go. Because otherwise you've got to start again. You've got to start from scratch. You've got to build those relationships. You've got to find the right group. If you want to do a mastermind, if you don't want to do a mastermind, don't I? You know, all the other strategies that you could use. This doesn't only play a part for today, but the future of your business as well. And I know the group that I'm in now will play a strategy in further events, whatever they are. I have no idea, coming up.
Awesome. Well, we're coming towards the end of the session, and I just want to thank you so much, Vic, for your insight and just sharing and being honest and open and just giving us your all. I super appreciate it. What I want to ask everyone on the call, well, I will share one of my big takeaways is about how do we individually approach the mastermind. How are we going to get out of it what we want? And that's by being a little bit selfish and being prepared. So that's my personal takeaway.
Yeah,
And
same response is like, ooh, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to prep and come with a plan for what you're looking to get from it. So thanks for the tip.
Great.
So I would like everyone to think about what is your aha, your takeaway from today's session, today's call, and what are you going to commit to for yourself in your business to be able to get more out of the mastermind for you. And if you want to share, I will open it up if you want to share now or if you want to share later.
I'm ready.
The masterminds I have been to have been so they've been structured during the meeting, but the idea of what does a strategy actually look like has always been the big mystery. And I don't think any of the leaders before have ever said like, hey, I mean, they've been saying, hey, this is your time, do with it, make the most of it. Like, okay, what does that really look like? What does experience show is the best way to do that? Otherwise, I just have questions and maybe you guys have answers and yay. But knowing how to put together a strategy for the mastermind has been, thank you, Vic. I really appreciate that.
Perfect. No, pleasure, Michael.
So I really valued the idea of the importance the mastermind plays in your overall business, and that you are keeping it top of mind throughout the month so that you are making notes of any bumps that you have along the way, so you could, like we've all said before, that you strategize in your preparation to present to that meeting. And also it goes back to your selfishness, which is the end result is you're asking the right questions, you're presenting them in the right way, but also on who you have in your hip pocket to present to the group when there's an opening that you could bring forward to the group so that you have the right people in your mastermind. I'm also a little bit concerned, not concerned, but the idea of the coordinator who really makes the whole experience incredibly valuable, how that person is chosen. Were they the start of the group, or were they invited in to be the controller? How did that happen? Because that's a very, very powerful position, but that person is not bringing their own issues to be discussed, merely making sure that everybody's issues does get covered in a responsible way. So I'm kind of curious about that too. But everything else you brought has been incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think selfish is out and enlightened self-interest is in. That's how we're calling it these days.
Michael. That might be used. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I might steal that.
Oh, all yours, my friend, all yours.
It's a play of words.
all right, Doug, would you like to share something?
Well, I just wanted to thank Vic for, I think, very prudent and astute advice regarding my situation and how I really need to change my mindset from, instead of going to the meeting and thinking about the differences and feeling like an outsider, you know, treating the meeting as, I guess in his words, it's about me and what I can get out of it. And when I reflect on sort of individually the benefit that I've gotten from both Asentiv in general and Mastermind in particular, those benefits have been, you know, when I let my guard down and allowed advice and allowed input that affected me personally, and those led to moments of clarity in my business.
Awesome.
So thank you, Vic.
Thanks. Thank you for sharing that, Doug. Thank you.
Oops. I also had a message from Linda. She says, yes, thank you. Sorry she's late. She is actually on vacation in Zion National Park and still driving,
Ooh.
but felt that this was important to be on the call. So that was from Linda. Glad you made it for what you could. Any other last comments before we sign off today?
Oh, good. Thank you, Vic.
It was amazing.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And thank you very much for inviting me, Maile. You know that I'm available anytime. If you want to reach out, just reach out. It's not a problem to me. And if there's anything else that I can do to help, please reach out.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Vic. And we might
No
invite
problem.
you back.
Yes, we would love to do that.
Take care.
Thank
All
you.
right, take care.
See you all.
All
Thanks
right.
now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.